Live from the House of LeMay Makeup and Dressing Room.
Here comes Amber. Stop what you're doing. Here comes Amber. She's just doing what she can. Here comes Amber. Cue the spotlight. Here comes Amber with 2 drinks in her hand. The matriarch of fashion, secrets to her glasses, you can't look away. Ask her, does she do it? There's really nothing to it. She's got that feminine yay. If you have a party, or if you're feeling naughty, call up the House of LeMay. Here comes your favorite gal. Here comes your queen. Here comes your talk of the town. And we're live tonight. The music starts playing. It's time for cabaret on Amber Live tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, please turn off all cell phones and get ready for your host, Amber LeMay.
I just feel like I'm not alone. And I'm sort of like trying to tune in a little bit, and I'm talking, hey, hi, I love this house. Monkey around with my sewing machine and all. And, it was funny. I really felt like there was somebody over my shoulder laughing because I'm just sitting there going, I had said something about sewing to the lady next door, and she goes, oh, Henry used to come and help me sew all the time. So whenever she had a project and got stuck, he would go over and help. By all accounts, from both neighbors on both sides, as well as other people in the community, I would have very much relished having Henry as a friend in the corporal world. And the only reason I knew that he was gay is because folks had talked about his partner and whatnot, and I don't think had a partner at the time that he died, but he did at one time, because he lived here for quite some time. He lived here almost 30 years.
Rocco's Halloween Sex Toy Emporium. We got disappearing, reappearing condoms. Maybe they'll be there for the final shot, or maybe they won't. And don't forget, there's the always fun Sex in a Coffin. For you voyeurs out there, you can get one of these books that you can summon the recently deceased so you can have all your dead family members watch you go at it. So if you're looking for a trick and a treat, Rocco's Halloween Sex Toy Emporium's got you covered.
I don't believe there's a better place in the world to spend Halloween than in New York City's West Village.
And the smoke you're seeing is coming up through the streets.
Check out some of the amazing decorations, elaborate, expensive decorations these folks have put up around their homes or hired somebody to do it. This on top of the Halloween parade and the display windows in all the stores. I mean, the West Village takes Halloween more seriously than any place else on the planet. Maybe Disneyland, it'll cost you a fortune. It's free to look here.
A little steamy too, I may add. I think I have to go.
Amber LeMay here, welcoming you to another edition of Amber Live. But first, I want you to like, share, subscribe. Oh, and I hope you turned your clocks back too. Anyway, we got a great show. Let's get right to it. Russell, come on in.
Hey, good morning or evening, I guess, when this will be running. How are you?
All right, Russell, let's get on with the show. Tell them what you want.
All right. Well, first up is where to watch, and we want you all to watch on YouTube because that's where all your friends will be in the chat room, and you can see Amber in full HD, and that's at youtube.com/AmberLive. After that, go to TikTok.com, Instagram, Facebook, and even our great new website, AmberLive.tv. And if you can't watch Amber tomorrow or some other day, in the morning, you can listen to Amber in a podcast form on your way to work or on the subway if you live in the city or wherever you'd like. There's a lot of great places to watch Amber. And you can support Amber by going and becoming a bustier. And we always need new bustiers. We love you for your help. Use that Venmo at RJD Pro to become a bustier. Or go to the credit and use your credit card at amberlive.tv. Just look for the donate button on our website. The bustiers are the people who are the lifeblood of this and keep it all running. So thank you very much to our bustiers.
That's right. So let's tell them about the guests we have tonight.
Oh my goodness, we have two great guests. First up, we'll have Robert E. Blackmon, who is back for I don't know how many times he's been on, a number, and he has a brand new book out. I think last time he was on, he had a new book out as well about his mother. This time it's his lifestyle book, Home 365, which you can get from through his website. Robert's a wonderful person with great ideas who, believe it or not, he blew up because he taught people how to fold a fitted bed sheet. And that's what got him millions of followers as Robert. Of course, the Church Muva already had lots. And then when Robert's done, we have Kyle Lukoff, the author of Call Me Max, actually a series of books on Max and a whole other bunch of books, who started out as a librarian. Actually, he started out at a bookstore and then became a librarian and then an author. And he's got great stories to tell. And unfortunately, also had a little run-in with the book banning people. So we'll hear from him. But first up, let's hear from Robert.
Let's go. Whether it be as his alter ego, the Church Muva, a TikTok sensation, or just as himself, Robert Blackmon is a 3, soon-to-be 4-time guest on Amber Live. This time, it's to tell us about his brand new book. Robert, come on in.
Hello, Amber. How are you? My gosh, 4 times. I cannot believe
Yes.
it. I appreciate you having me again.
We've done like 172, 73 shows, so you've been in a lot of them. Thank you so much.
I'm in the mix. I appreciate
All
it.
right. So tell me about your new book.
So my new book, Home 365, How to Enjoy Your Living Space All Year Round, really is, it's a diary, it's a checklist, it's an all-around sort of how-to guide, really, to how to enjoy your home, um, just how to really enjoy yourself and those things around you.
What was the inspiration for this?
So believe it or not, Amber, this book started before the pandemic. In fact, I had shot maybe 70% of the artwork the week before everything just sort of went kaflooey. And after we were all sequestered at home and everybody was making banana bread and everything, I thought, well, I'm going to shelf this book, no pun intended, because no one needs a book to sort of know how to stay at home because everybody's staying at home. And then about 6 months ago, I got an amazing opportunity to sort of dust it off and resurrect it. And how the book started was that I was realizing around 2018 that the world was so quick, and I would speak to younger people, and they wouldn't know what we would consider simple things. They didn't know how to really host a dinner party. They didn't know how to really have people around. And if they had people around, everybody would sit around on the couch and everybody would be on their phones and they weren't engaging. And this really bothered me. And so I decided that I would do something to kind of give people the yellow pages, if you would, something that they could sort of refer back to when they needed to figure out how to do these life skills. And so that really is how the book started and what it entails.
The structure of the book.
So I love the structure of the book because it is different than most books. It's a book, but as I said, it's more like a journal or a calendar. So we have months instead of chapters. So you get January through December. And the way the book is laid out, it's very inviting. So it opens with a beautiful photograph of the outside of my window. And I'm very honest about the fact that I'm very private about my space because I give so much of myself on the interwebs, as I call them, that my home is very sacred. And so the one thing that people always get from me when I'm cooking or when I'm doing something is they get a view from my window. So I thought it appropriate to start with a view from my window. So in January, you get a very blistery cold view, but by June, you get a rainbow outside. So you get a view 365 of from my point of view. But then you get recipes, You get how-tos, how to host a dinner party. You get all of these little nuggets, and then at the end of each month, there is a checklist. And the checklist basically is a guideline for things for you to remember. You don't necessarily have to follow the checklist, like clear the air ducts out of your apartment or things like that, but it will remind you, oh, I need to get those dust bunnies out from under the couch. So it's a monthly reminder or guideline for things to keep you kind of on focus for your place. And it doesn't matter if you live in 300 square feet or 5,000 square feet. It doesn't matter if you own or you rent, because we spend so much money on rent and on mortgages. We're outside most of the time. And when we're home, we may watch a little TV or are on our phone, and then we sleep. And to me, that's a waste of money. So this book really gives you ideas on how to really hone in and enjoy that living space.
What's your favorite month?
People ask me this all the time, and I think September is my favorite month for a specific reason. So in the book, September really is about home. When you think about September, young people are going back to school. Um, Adults are sort of starting that nesting process, but also it's the most known time when people move into a place. And so I really sort of go to sort of that zero spot about, okay, well, if you're in your new space, what do you need in your new space, and how do you represent your space to other people? How do you invite people into your new space? What are those elements that you use to make this space your own? So I think that is my most favorite month, because it really gets to sort of the nuts and bolts of us living in whatever space that we live in.
What's a recipe for September?
Ooh, now you got me there. Let me see. Let me see. I don't remember. I have to refer to that. I don't remember what's a
There's a
recipe for
book right
September.
behind you.
I want to say, I know. I want to say, um, oh, I know. In September, we start going seasonal, like into apples. And so we have apple ciders. We have is there an apple pie? There's not an apple pie in this one, but we do a cider recipe. So that's something that you might really enjoy.
Thanksgiving's coming up. What's your advice for someone about Thanksgiving? Either Canadian, where you are, or in the United States?
So the number one thing about Thanksgiving is this. If this is your first time cooking a turkey, and I'm going to say this again because somebody went to get a drink of water while we were saying this. If this is your first time making a turkey, purchase the turkey at least 1 week before the festivities, and then start defrosting it at least 5 days before the festivity. There are so many times where I will go into the supermarket because you're out of butter or you're out of that one element, and there are droves of people carrying these frozen birds to the counter, and I'm like, you must be getting that for Christmas, because there is no way you're going to defrost this bird by tonight. So my number one piece of advice is get the turkey so early and let it defrost in the refrigerator, because you want to make sure that the inside of the bird is defrosted when you get ready to do it. That's everybody cooks their bird differently, but make sure that you get it early so that it defrosts. That's my number one piece of advice.
All right, let's say I'm hosting a Thanksgiving Day gathering. I'm not. Other than
Yes.
buying the turkey early, what would be another good suggestion for a host or hostess?
So it's really great for you to scan the room, scan your guest list. So if Aunt Ethel is politically motivated on one side, it doesn't matter what side, and then Uncle Fred is politically motivated on the other side, make sure that they're not sitting next to each other. It is very important as the host to make sure that you keep the party flowing and not disruptive. And so you want to make sure that you know your guests. You want to make sure that everybody is comfortable, but it's also okay for you to put a no politics rule in place. It is okay to put a no gender rule in place. It is okay for you to put these things out there from the beginning. And I don't mean when they get there, I mean before you invite them. So you can tell Aunt Ethel, listen, I would love to have you, but what we're not going to do today is we're not going to be, waving your Bible at so and so, because we're here to enjoy the day in each other's company. We can agree to disagree, but we're not going to talk about that at dinner. And that is perfectly acceptable.
Talk about hostess gifts or host gifts. Are you expected to take something to someone's house if you're invited?
I'm so excited about this because this sort of coincides again back with September. So what I asked, because someone asked me a couple of days ago, their son is graduating. I suppose this will encompass any month. Their son is graduating, their best friend's son is graduating, and they asked me what should they bring. And I give the same advice to somebody who's bringing a gift. Think about the person and not yourself. Think about what the person might actually need, not how you want to impress them. For instance, if you know that the person that you are going to their house to, don't bring alcohol if you know that they are in program. It's rude and it's tacky. Now, it's okay for you to ask them, and they may even say, "Oh, if you want to bring your own, that's fine." But be sensitive to the person's needs and think about what it is that they actually need. Paper plates and utensils or throwaway utensils, while they may seem a little like people can always use those later, but ask the guest, how can I participate? Rather than what do you need, how may I participate? Because I think we as the host, we don't want to put upon our guests. We want them to come and enjoy. So if you phrase it, how may I participate? I think they're more inclined to offer you a suggestion. And even if they say, "Oh, don't bring anything, it's okay," you can then say, "May I bring a wine for dinner?" And then they will give you what they suggest. And if they say nothing, then it's okay to bring nothing. You can bring maybe a card or something just to show appreciation.
I think ice is always something that's welcomed at a party. Parties always run out of
Ice
ice.
is very good. Yes, that's true. When in doubt, ice.
That's right. How does this affect social media? Do you have anything on that about your book?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. So my audience, my 2 million plus, they roughly are under the age of 25. Say they're 28 to 20, they're 25 to, lower. And a lot of them come into my morning breakfast shows because either they don't know how to cook, or they're looking for new recipes, or they're just looking to be entertained. And I make it a rule in all of my lives that this is my home and everyone is invited. And when you turn on when you flip onto my camera, that's the front door. And I ask people to enter my home with the same kind of respect that they would want people to enter their home. And so I give people a framework on purpose. If somebody says something that's inappropriate in my room, because we don't swear in my room, we don't talk about others in my room, we don't talk politics in my room. And so if someone is new and they say something inappropriate, I literally say to everybody, "Excuse me for a moment," and I lean into the camera and I say to them, "Hi, so and so, clearly you're new here. Let me introduce myself. I'm Robert. If you're under the age of 18, that's Mr. Blackmon to you. Now, anybody's welcome here, but here are the things that we don't do. One, we don't disrespect me. Two, we don't disrespect the other people in the room. And most importantly, we don't disrespect ourselves." And so when I place it that way, they realize, oh, wait a minute, this is a different kind of scenario. And I let them know their voice is heard and they can participate, but they have to be respectful. And that's why I wrote this book, because I wanted people to sort of quietly understand that there are checks and balances that need to happen in the world. And social media has just gotten so like you can say anything or do anything. There are protocols. We may not like everything, but that's what the swipe button is for. And so what I try to do is I'm not trying to change the world, but I want people to know that there are options. And I realize that not everybody has that that parental figure or that adult that will necessarily check them when they are inappropriate. And so I try to do it in a loving way, and I try to give them something that they can always refer back to so that they sound smarter than their other friends when they flip through it. They're like, oh, I didn't know how to fold napkins. Well, here you go. So I try to do it in a lighthearted way, without being preachy.
You've got your new book. You've got 2 million followers on TikTok. My goodness.
Yeah.
What's next?
And
in
we
your
have
life?
we just launched today a calendar as well. It's a complimentary calendar for the book. The book itself is fun, but it's very educational, I guess, but the calendar is just like, it's ridiculous. I'm in a bunny costume. I'm in an elf with shelf costume. I'm basically in a pride flag for June. It's a fun, lighthearted calendar that you can flip through each month and just get a laugh. And so that's really what my aim is. And those 2 million followers have actually taught me a little more how to relax a little bit, because I think that I was so tunnel visioned in trying to teach people that I was a little stuffy, and they have helped me figure out how to relax a little bit. So this is kind of my give back to them, because it's just the calendar's campus Christmas.
What's next?
So next we have a couple of projects which I really can't divulge, but there is a new book. There is a new book, and this is in the late spring, but it's a new book, and it may or may not have something to do with our favorite Church Muva.
Oh. Has she been behaving?
That's all I can say.
Has she been behaving?
She has been behaving, but she's very impatient. I have been out here in the front, and she's kind of like, okay, where's my turn? Where's my turn? Those are my 2 million followers. Where's my turn? So we're having we're trying to coexist.
Your book, have you gotten any offers from any networks or anything like that people want to do something extra with your books?
So I just did a wonderful thing with Kathy Griffin when I was out in Los Angeles, and it was so much fun. People can check my TikTok for that. We're actually going to be doing an interview. We haven't scheduled it because she's just finished her cruise, her gay cruise. I think it's her 17th gay cruise, and so we're going to do something. It probably won't happen to the spring now just because of the holidays. I just got written up in, I think, In Touch magazine, which is out this next month, about my stuff. And there are a couple of possibilities, but nothing that I can announce just yet. But I've been getting some exposure. It's so strange because I've written the 3 books before on my own, and now I'm with Found Publications, and they've really opened up new doors for me. So I'm really excited about what's to come.
Well, Robert, thank you so much for coming back for the 4th time. We're looking forward to the 5th time when that new project comes on. Maybe Church Mother can come on and talk about that project. But congratulations. You've done so much, and we really appreciate you including us along with your ride.
Amber, I appreciate you so much. Thank you. You are one of the first people to interview me through this whole social media process, and I want to congratulate you on 3.5 years. Is it now?
Yeah.
it, it's it, it's just incredible what you're doing and how you are enlightening and in educating people. It is just amazing, and I appreciate being a part of the family. I appreciate it. Thank you so
We're all
much.
in this together, Robert. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Happy holidays.
Yes. Thank you, Robert. We look forward to having you back for your next project. You know, ever since we started running the Lucy Belle Classics, we've gotten more and more response. So here's another one.
Bitchin' in the kitchen with Lucy Belle.
Hey, it's Lucy Belle LeMay, the reigning queen in Beaver Pond, here again with another Bitchin' in the Kitchen, coming to you from my kitchen in the hot damn trailer park in Beaver Pond, Vermont. Yes, today I'm going to show you how to make a Thanksgiving dinner in a pumpkin. Yeah. So here's a good way to celebrate Thanksgiving, and you don't even have to make a big old turkey to do it. Now, what you will need is, to start with, is 2 little pie pumpkins, similar to this one right here, and 1 yellow onion, celery, carrots, 2 cloves of garlic, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, so you can rub it on the outside of the pumpkin, 2 tablespoons of butter, 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, ½ teaspoon of ground black pepper, 1 pound of ground turkey, ½ cup of dried cranberries, 1 box of sage stuffing mix, or you can make it from scratch if you like, but I'm going to make it from scratch. I'm going to make it from scratching it right out of this box. Yes, that's the easiest. And a cup of chicken broth or turkey broth, either one. So why don't we go ahead and get started? We've got our pumpkin all cleaned out and the guts taken out and all cleaned up and ready to go. And we've got our oven preheated at 400 degrees. And oh yeah, and one thing you want to make sure you wash that pumpkin real good. And here we go. We've got our chopped onions, celery, and carrots and garlic. And we're going to saute those in some butter there. And we're going to usually saute them about 3 minutes or until the onions become, a little translucent. And then we're going to add a little turkey. Yep, our ground turkey. And we're just going to let that cook and let it brown real good, okay? And after that browns for a while, for a couple of minutes, probably about 5 minutes, you're going to add the chicken broth and the cranberries. And you're going to bring that up to a boil.
Now it's time for the stuffing.
Just turn the heat off. Once it starts boiling, just turn the heat off and let all the moisture absorb into that stuffing mix. Now, let's go ahead. I think everything is pretty much done here. So let's go ahead and stuff our pumpkin and get it in the oven.
Now it is time to stuff the pumpkin. Oh, look at that. Yes. Doesn't that look good? Just right up to the top. Ready for you.
Oh, our pumpkin is done. Oh, and you know how we can tell that it's done? We're gonna fork it. Oh, it's done. Oh yeah. Now let's see how it tastes. Woo, hot, 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 hot. Oh. Mmm. Just like Thanksgiving dinner. So good. Happy Thanksgiving, y'all.
All right. If you like Lucy Belle, put something in the comments, won't you? All right, Russell, come back in.
Hey, we all love Lucy Belle. We miss her, so hopefully we can get her to do some more appearances someday. But we have more to come anyways tonight, even without her appearing again. We've got Kyle Lukoff. We've got Rocco. There's so much more to come, so don't disappear. But what keeps that all flowing on the stream here is the Bustiers. So thank you to our Bustiers. If you haven't yet, please become a Bustier by using that Venmo at RJD Pro or go to the website and use your credit card on the donate button at amberlive.tv. Our bustiers are very important. And if you can't be a bustier, but you need Christmas gifts or other gifts, because the holidays are here, believe it or not, Amber, you can go to our store and pick out some of these great products that we've got at amberlive.tv. We've got new ones up there. We've got these great In Drag We Trust and our Rainbow Solidarity. And there's Rusty Peen and soon to be some Rocco, hopefully, and even some Amber products up there. So get over to the store, at least take a look at it, because even the store is lots of fun on our website.
Yes, come on in. All right, let's get on with the show.
Okay, here's Kyle Lukoff.
Kyle Lukoff writes books for kids of all ages. Before becoming a full-time writer, Kyle worked at 5 bookstores, in 4 libraries, for 3 schools, as 2 genders, through 1 intersection, people and books. Let's find out more about Kyle's story. Kyle, come on in.
Hi,
Kyle?
Amber. Should I call you Ms. LeMay?
Oh, you can call me Amber. You can call me Amber. Or Mrs. Lukoff. You know, that could be arranged as well. Okay, Kyle, you're a writer. When did you start writing?
Well, when did I learn how to write, or when did I try to start getting published? Because I think that was like
when did you think about I'd like to write?
I think the best answer is probably right after college. I was kind of crazy, as a lot of 22-year-olds are, and I was working at Barnes & Noble at the time, and I decided to start writing just a short story on the back of scrap paper that I found when no one was coming to the information desk. And I wrote a short story and I liked it, and I didn't want to say goodbye to those characters. So I wrote a second chapter, and then I was like, well, I can either have 1 short story or a full novel, but no one wants just 2 chapters of something. So I decided to finish it all writing longhand, all at Barnes & Noble when nobody was talking to me. And I kind of tried to get that published, but I had no idea what I was doing. And also no one wanted it, which was a good thing. And then it wasn't for another 7 years or so, I think. In 2012 is when I started trying to write a young adult novel and started to research how the publication process worked. And then that didn't go anywhere. And then I decided to focus on writing picture books in 2015. And here I am.
Well, when you mentioned Barnes & Nobles, I figure it was quite a while ago.
True. I got hired in 2000 when I was 16. And then I worked there on and off up until I decided to go to library school in 2010, I think.
Okay, so you went to work at Barnes & Noble. Was it just because it was a job, or you wanted to work in a bookstore?
Well, I was 16, so I applied to everywhere. I really wanted to work at PetSmart because I wanted to be able to like feed the hamsters. And the first place that hired me was a regional like Taco Bell knockoff called Taco Time. So I got hired there. I worked there for 1 day, and then I got a call from Barnes & Noble saying that they had hired me. And I said to my mom, no, I think I'm going to stay at Taco Time. I really like working at the cash register, and I would feel bad quitting because they just hired me. And for maybe the first time, maybe the second time in my life, my mother put her foot down and she said, no, you are not working at Taco Time. You are going to work at Barnes & Noble. And I quit Taco Time the next day. And then I worked at Barnes & Noble for a decade, and now I have books on the shelves there. So she was right.
Well, why do you think she made that insistence?
I think she knew that I would be happier working with books than deep frying burritos at a fast food chain. I've always been a bookworm. Reading has been my only hobby forever. And I think she just had a sense that it was a better fit for me.
What were some of your earlier favorite books or authors as a child?
Oh, gosh. I have really clear memories of loving the Kevin Hinckus books as a little kid. Jessica and Julius, the Baby of the World. I liked a lot of the older picture books like Harold and the Purple Crayon and Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. When I was older, I mostly read the Babysitter's Club books, some Boxcar Children, and then I read a lot of Tamara Pierce's The Lioness books. So there were 4 books about a girl who wanted to be a knight. So she cut off her hair and like bound her chest flat and ran off to the palace to learn to fight with swords. And I read those books. I really liked a story about a girl pretending to be a boy. It didn't click for a while, but I read those books over and over and over and over again.
How did your mom perhaps realize those were the type of books that you liked? The one about the girl wanting to be a boy?
No, not really. I mean, they were also fairly standard, like girl power 90s genre things. So I don't think anyone really thought that there was anything strange about that.
You worked at Barnes and Noble. What was your job after that?
After Barnes and Noble, I had a couple. Did I have jobs after that? I went to law school for a minute in 2007, and then I dropped out. And then I got a very strange job working for a very strange friend of mine, where we were kind of like the middlemen in a translation company. So people would send us their birth certificates, and then we would send those to like a translator, and then we would charge more money than we paid the interpreter, which was not exactly a scam, but wasn't the most fair business practices, I guess. I don't know. All of us were trans men, and we all tended to work like in our boxers. Sometimes there was, amateur videos on the TV that we'd have to turn down when someone called. There were a lot of cats. And after a while, I just didn't really like working for my friend. So I quit and I went back to working at Barnes & Noble. And then after a couple of years, I decided to go to library school.
Where did you go to library school?
Queens College. It's fine.
What does one learn in library school?
That's such a great question. I don't really know. I took classes on what's called Reader's Advisory, which is helping people find books that they want to read, which I had already been doing for a decade. And I took classes on reference interviews, which is helping people find information, which I had also already been doing for a decade. I'm sure that a lot of people have a great experience in library school where they learn so many things to prepare them for their future careers. I cannot say that that was me, but that might have more to do with my experience going into it than the program itself.
Is there a degree associated with that?
Well, it's a master's of library and information science.
Oh my goodness. So
you could even go to doctor. You could be Dr. Library.
Is that something you would pursue?
No.
When did you start writing full time?
So I was working as an elementary school librarian, and I gave notice in like late February or early March of 2020, which was quite a time to decide to quit one's job.
Yes.
I finished out the school year virtually, and then I just never went back.
Had you been writing books? Had you had a book published by then?
Yeah, by then, my first book came out in 2018. And the reason why I decided to quit my job and try writing full time is because it was a combination of, I had taken the fall of 2019 to go on tour with my book when Aiden became a brother. So I went all over the country reading it to kids, and I was able to approximate my salary, basically. And then that combined with the fact that I just gotten a really nice advance from my first novel to write to sea, which is this one, meant that I also knew that I had some income coming in that was not related to my traveling. So I thought, well, between these two things, I can probably make it work for a couple years. And I've been doing it ever since.
Tell us more about that first book.
Ooh, well, the first book that I showed you, or the first book that I wrote?
The first one you wrote.
The first book that I got published is Storytelling of Ravens. I was going to grab it from the pile next to me, but I know that we can like show the cover on the screen, so I don't have to.
Yes.
It's this weird little idea that I had not long after I graduated college, where I thought it would be fun to take the collective nouns of animals, like a pride of lions or a pod of whales or a school of fish, and tell little stories using the collective noun in a creative way. So I wrote those down. It kind of sat in my files for, 8 or 9 years. And then I finally found an agent who wanted to represent me. And then she sold that book to a publisher, and it came out in 2018. It's cute. It's not especially groundbreaking, but it got some good reviews. There's kids who really like it. And it shows my appreciation for wordplay and language nerditry, I guess you could say.
So you aimed your writing at children from right from the start.
That isn't exactly true, but I first started trying to be professionally published under my own name in a career-making move writing for children. I had other more amateur publications prior to then, both under my real name and a pen name.
All right, that book about the ravens came out. Did you finish up the series of the animals and their families?
It's not a series though. It's just the one book.
Okay, just one. Okay. After that, what happened? What book?
After that, I sold my second book called Explosion at the Poem Factory, which we can see on the screen. Yes. And that's an idea that I got from college. It is about a poem factory that explodes. It's also very nerdy. And I like doing school visits with that one because I do little poetry workshops centered around it. And then after that, I wrote When Aiden Became a Brother. And that is the book that one could say kind of put me on the map.
Okay, tell us about the purpose of that, or what the plot of that is.
Yeah, that one is about a young transgender boy helping his family welcome a new baby. So it is about him, coming out, telling his parents about himself, and then about him trying to make things more welcoming for his new sibling before they even show up.
Oh, nice. Now, do you use the same illustrator for all your books?
No, and that's also not my decision. It's always the editor at the publishing company that chooses the illustrator. So all of my books, with the exception of the series, are illustrated by different people. And I've been really happy with all of my illustrators so far, and that has to do with, the skill of the editor and the art director and the illustrator themselves. But it's not something that I have any control over, really.
Okay, let's go to that novel that you held up earlier. Tell me about that.
My first novel is called Too Bright to See, and it is about a kid named Bug who lives in a haunted house. But that house has always been haunted. That's not really a problem. But then when Bug's uncle, who is a drag queen, dies, a new ghost shows up, and we have to figure out who this new ghost is and what it's trying to say. Her name is...
Go ahead.
The uncle's named Roderick, but his drag name is Anita Life.
Oh, that's very nice. Very nice. Do you see anything from your books, especially this one, being bought for a movie or a series?
That I would love that. I also know that Too Bright to See is being adapted into a musical, like a stage show, which is cool. We are trying to sell some of my picture books as an animated series, but who knows if that's going to happen. But I don't know how that side of the business works. I just feel like if someone wants to do it, they can talk to me and I'll probably say yes. But
I'd love to audition for Anita Life.
I would love to have you. I'll let you know. I'll send you the casting call.
All right, that would be great. You go into schools. How frequently do you go into schools and read your work?
It used to be much more frequently. In 2019, like I said, I went all over the country. I had school visits, so many. And then even when COVID hit and things turned virtual, I still found myself to be pretty busy. But now with the whole book banning thing and teachers and librarians being accused of horrible crimes just because my books are in the library, those have dried up significantly, which is challenging financially. And also, I just know that as someone who's won as many awards as I've won 2 Newbery. I've won 2 Stonewalls. I have a National Book Award honor, and I was the first trans person to win a Newbery honor. I've made a lot of like best of lists and, the 10 best books this year, that sort of thing. A person at my stage in their career should be much busier than I am. And I understand the reasons why I'm not.
Have you taken any personal attacks or received any personal attacks from your work?
Nothing overwhelming, like some like awful emails, some nasty messages, some terrible things that I'm tagged in, but nothing so far that's been unfortunately out of the ordinary for any like queer or trans person who's in any way in the public eye.
Have any of your books been outwardly banned?
Oh yeah, my picture book, Call Me Max, was on stage with the governor of Florida when he signed the Don't Say Gay bill. There's like a picture of him pointing to it.
Well, that's great advertising.
You would think, but that book still hasn't made me any money. It still hasn't earned through its advance.
Write a book about some child who attacks a governor or something that runs for governor and defeats someone like that.
Oh, that would be great.
You can give me some credit on that.
I will. I'll thank you I'll either dedicate it to you or thank you in the acknowledgments.
What are you working on now?
That's a good question. What am I working on now? Right now, I'm finishing up edits for my third novel, which doesn't really have a title yet. We're trying to come up with one, but it comes out in about a year. And it's my first novel with a Jewish character. And it's about a 14-year-old trans kid fighting demons and making friends along the way.
How long does it take you from, let's say, your initial idea of a book to get it published?
Every book is different. Obviously the shorter a book is, well, actually that's not necessarily true. Sometimes the shorter a book is, the less time it takes to write, but that is not always true. Too Bright to See, my first novel, took me about 4 years to finish, and then another 2.5 years to get published. But that's because I kept giving up halfway through. Whereas my novel, Different Kinds of Fruit, I wrote it in 6 months. And then it came out it came out like a year and a half after I finished it. So that one was much quicker. I have a picture book out called Awake Asleep. And I wrote that one in one evening. And it came out less than 2 years later. Whereas When Aiden Became a Brother took probably a couple years for me to get it right. And then it came out about a year and a half after that.
It sounds like you must be working on several books at the same time.
Not necessarily. The way that publishing works is that it's kind of staggered. So like you can write a book and finish it and it can sell, and then it might not come out for another 18 months to 3 years. And in those 18 months to 3 years, you can write a whole different book and then sell it. And then it might come out in 18 months to 3 years. I usually try not to work on multiple projects at once because I don't like getting the voices in my head confused. I made that mistake once. I'm not going to do it again.
Is there something that you haven't written about yet that you think, someday I want to tackle this subject, or I want to write about this?
I have one more novel to write after the one that I'm working on now. And then once that one is completed, I am desperate to write a novel for adults. I think it'll be a nice vacation. I think it'll be easier because I get to use all of the words in my vocabulary instead of just some of them. And I get to draw on all of my life experiences instead of just the ones that are appropriate for children to read about. I'm very excited.
I bet you're going to be ready to write that one by then. Well, Kyle Lukoff, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Fascinating story about your journey being a writer. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Fascinating stories from a fascinating person. All right, it's time for another fascinating person, Rocco.
Flat tire on the Jersey Turnpike. What's next? Look at this crap.
I remember when a jack was a jack. What the hell is this crap?
Now it's time to put on the spare tire. They call this spare tire a donut.
There it is, nice and glazed.
That's it. Now it's time to hit the road because I hate this crap and I hate Jersey right now because they gave me a flat tire in a parking lot. So Rocco Jr., what do you think of the new tire?
I think it looks good.
Does it look like a donut?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It looks like a glazed donut.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Rocco. Well, that wraps up tonight's show, but next week we're going to have one of the Amber Live repeats, one of our favorite shows for you because, well, to tell you the truth, I'm going to be busy this week. My drag persona, Bob Bolliard, is in a production of The Prom as Barry Glickman, so I'm going to be pretty busy, so I can't put together an Amber Live, but the following week, we've got another great show for you, so come back then. Until then, bring it on, Book and Shug.
And then I said, where's the chalupa?
Oh, hey, we're on. Aren't we supposed to be doing a bit where we make fun of Amber or the show or something?
Oh, I forgot to read the script.
This is why they won't let us in the Actors Union.
No, you wrote out on our application that we perform with hands up our butts.
Oh, yeah. I guess that didn't qualify as legitimate acting.
Well, think of something quick. We're almost out of time. They're gonna cut us